Let me tell you how I unraveled everything in my life in just under 6 weeks, simply because I thought I was bored. My name's Lexi. I was married to a man most women would dream of ending up with. Jake was the kind of guy who was tender, dependable, remembered how I liked my coffee, and never once raised his voice at me, even when he probably should have. We had what you call the picture-perfect life. A quaint home with backyard surrounded by a white fence, a loyal dog named Riley, and a day-to-day rhythm that felt safe, maybe too safe. I was 28, scrolling endlessly through social media, watching other women live their so-called hot girl summer, while I sat in oversized pajamas on a worn-out sofa, rewatching sitcoms beside my husband. My feed was full of people jet-setting across the world, dancing under neon lights, kissing strangers on yachts. And me? I was picking out tiles for a bathroom we planned to redo. That's when the first cracks started forming. There was a small, persistent voice in my head whispering questions I couldn't ignore. Is this really all there is? You've got forever to be someone's wife. Aren't you curious what else is out there? At first, it seemed harmless. I started accepting more invites from my single friends. Wore clothes that would have made Jake pause. Not out of jealousy or possessiveness, but because I usually prioritize comfort over style. I began uploading provocative selfies, just for laughs. When Jake gently asked if everything was all right, I brushed it off and told him I was just rediscovering myself. Truthfully, I wanted to feel desired again, not by the man who'd seen me at my worst, but by strangers who didn't know what time I went to bed or how I looked first thing in the morning. Then came the night that flipped my world upside down. Maddie, one of my closest friends, threw this extravagant party on a yacht. Picture overflowing champagne, live DJs, influencers making TikToks in swimsuits. I wore a snug green dress from my college days, the kind that hadn't seen daylight in years. Maddie handed me a glass of chilled rose and winked. Tonight, forget you're married. And for reasons I still don't fully understand, I listened. I laughed too loud, danced like no one was watching. Even though they absolutely were. Some guy named Trey fed me strawberries and whispered cheap compliments that felt scripted but still made me blush. And then I posted a 5-second clip to my story, just a boomerang of me sipping rose, Trey's arm draped casually over my shoulder. I assumed Jake wouldn't see it. He wasn't much into social media. But somehow he did. When I got home around 3 a.m, heels in one hand, makeup smudged, adrenaline fading, I already knew what was waiting. Jake was sitting quietly on the couch, phone in his hand, his eyes distant and hollow. He didn't raise his voice, didn't hurl accusations. He simply asked, "Is there someone else?" I told him no, but I didn't say I wanted to stay, either. I muttered something vague like, "I just need space." I think I lost myself in this marriage. Part of me hoped he'd stop me, tell me we could fix things, plead with me not to go. But instead he stood slowly, nodded once, and said, "If figuring out who you are means losing me, I hope you find what you're looking for." I packed my things and left the following week. At first, it felt like freedom. Every night was spontaneous. Bars, road trips, drinks handed to me by men who didn't ask for my name. I had quick flings, new friendships, and endless flattery from strangers online. For a while, it felt like I'd made the right choice. But the longer it lasted, the more hollow it became. The noise got louder, but inside, I felt more alone. Hangovers hit harder. Every guy I met felt like a copy of the last. Same shallow lines, same empty promises, same meaningless goodbyes. Then, one night while scrolling, I noticed Jake's name pop up. A friend had tagged him in a photo from a small dinner gathering. He looked happy, really happy, calm, content, seated beside a woman I'd never seen before. She had kind eyes. She radiated something I used to carry. On impulse, I messaged him. "Hey, you've been on my mind lately." No response. The next morning, I sent another. "I miss you." Still silence. I dialed his number. Straight to voicemail. I left a message, awkward and rambling, telling him how wrong I'd been, how I missed everything, our home, our life, even the quiet moments. I told him I didn't know who I was chasing out here, but it wasn't who I wanted to be. Still nothing. Days passed. A week. 2. Then I reached out to a mutual friend, casually asking how Jake was. She replied with just 4 words. He's seeing someone new. I wish I could say I handled it with grace, that I smiled and wished him the best. But no, I broke down in the back of an Uber, clutching my purse, and cried while the driver kindly handed me tissues and a bottle of water like I'd just had my heart broken, even though I was the one who walked away. No one warns you what happens when you trade genuine love for fleeting freedom. The world doesn't pause for you to realize what you've thrown away. Life continues. People move forward. Hearts mend, whether you're ready or not. Now I live in a small 1-bedroom unit. The paint is peeling. My bed has no frame. The fridge is full of cold leftovers I can't bring myself to touch. Sometimes I scroll through old photos. The 2 of us decorating our first Christmas tree, laughing through a failed pottery class, eating overcooked pancakes in bed because I tried to be cute and failed miserably. I want to tell him something. That I've finally figured out who I am, and that she's scared, that she'd give anything to rewind time, that she'd exchange every party, every meaningless night, for just one more quiet evening with him and Riley. But he won't reply, and I understand now. I walked away from a man who gave me everything, just to chase a world that never truly saw me. So if you're thinking about leaving someone who loves you deeply just because your life feels predictable, ask yourself this. Are you ready to risk everything real for a moment that might mean nothing tomorrow? Because once they're really gone, there's no amount of flattery or attention from strangers that can replace what you gave up. I threw away my marriage for a fantasy called Hot Girl Summer, and all I found was regret.